Hey, my name's Rob. I produce music under the name Dewey, and I placed third in the Kenny Beats Teenage Engineering Beat Battle, and I want to do a beat breakdown for you. All right, jumping right in here, I really liked the promo video that Kenny and his team made with Teenage Engineering with their little dolls. It sounds like a lot of work went into those, and I thought it was really cool. So it sounded like a cool intro to a beat. So I just took the beginning chord, pitched it up. And that intro kind of reminded me of one of my favorite Alchemist beats, Terry by Action Bronson. And it was actually in the same exact key. I didn't pitch this up at all. And I just dropped that in there like underneath that to support it. Together they sound like this. So yeah, right away we jump into the use of the sample. I just wanted to make sure I got that in front of everybody's face right away, even though it was a little bit hard to tell.
Please use the sample.
But yeah, the original sample, I added a few things to it to make it more of like a rhythmic pulse. Started out with the Paris setting on Resonator, which I messed around with some of the settings and made it fit within the chord structure of the song. Then I added Tremolator to give it that rhythmic pulse on a 16-note setting. I side chained it to the kick. The only other use of the sample was a pitched up version of that. And of course the So I'd done a few of these beat battles before, and I tried to just go 100% from scratch, playing everything and making everything myself. And I noticed that people were using samples to kind of speed up their process when I was watching back in these beat breakdowns. So these samples are samples that I've made myself, starting with the drums. This is like the original template from the drums when I made this sample way back. So it's just an overhead, a kick in, a snare mic, a crotch, probably just over the kick pointed at my knee. Those are the four main mics that make up the drum set sound. So I'll turn off all the processing to just show you what it sounds like. So this is the overhead. So this is just a Octava pencil condenser microphone over the snare hi-hat area of the kick. I have a Pro Q3 preset, overhead 3, darkener, just a little bit of notching, and then side chaining to the kick to give some motion to the hi-hats. The kick drum has some transient designer on it. So the transient designer is just taking off some sustain, adding some attack, default max bass preset, and just boosting this setting right here, and then some pretty heavy saturation. This is a 20-inch kick with no front head on it, and the microphone probably around where the head would normally be, pointed at the beater. This is the snare drum, raw. I added Pro Q3 Snare 2 top preset. Again, transient designer around the same settings and saturation around the same settings. This is a SM57 on Ludwig Acrolite. And then the crotch mic, I flipped the phase on it. I added this radiator setting, the default setting, and just tweaked some of these, and then rolled off a lot of the low end to give it this more tinny, like driven sound. So that's the core of the drum sound. The four of those together sound like this. So then that obviously is not what it sounds like on the track. I have this preset that I made called Crunchy Drums. It's, again, just more saturation, messing with some EQ, bumping around 33 on the lows, taking off a shelf on the highs. The vinyl one, the initial preset on RC20, probably taking the noise out and just barely touching these. This is the default setting on Wolf Compressor. I probably mess with the lo-fi and the ins outs a little bit. And then, of course, drum bus on the medium setting with drive around 11%. And that sounds like this. From there on, the rest of these samples are in the drum bus. They're being processed by that crunchy bus setting that I had showed you. But below that are a couple of claps. They're both count claps. This is a tambourine that I recorded. RC20 vinyl setting again. Lots of EQ. Just leaving this little hump here and then being sidechained to the kick again. I have a Kabasa, and then this is percussion-y tambourine loop that kind of goes along with that tambourine. It's also being sidechained to the kick. And then the only other piece on the drums is I just clipped the beginning of the crotch mic for the intro, and then rolled off a lot of the low end. There's also a tambourine here that I recorded, and it has no processing on it. It's pretty far back in the mix. It has a little bit of reverb. This is just the drums together. So the keys were something I recorded some point last year. Was inspired by Elijah Fox post. Elijah Fox is this great keyboardist. I think he's in LA. He plays with Yusuf Days and a lot of other great artists that are really inspiring. And so yeah, this is something I recorded and tried to get it similar sounding. I recorded here in my studio on an upright with two Octava pencil condensers pointed at the soundboard. I did a little bit of EQing, rolling off low end, then I added this preset that I made on RC20 called Harmonic Exciter. The vocals were kind of like a happy accident when I dropped in this drum template from the original project. I had these vocals I had done with a friend of mine. And they kind of worked when I pitched them. And so yeah, those sound like this without processing. I know you took it. And the original sounds like this. I know you took it. So the processing on that is this effects rack preset called Color Vocal Chain. I had to mess with the mix on both of these Echo Boys because they were a little long. But then other than that, I just rolled a ton of EQ off. I know you took it. I know you took it. The thing that I probably took the most time making this beat was recording bass. It's just into one of my preamps and using UAD MPEG plugin, EQing, rolling off a lot of the low end, notching down some of the 100, and then a fair amount of LA2A. I just felt like it needed a little bit more Tinsley background noise, so I added a splice sample, just kids playing. The last couple pieces are just synth things. And then it has a little bit of chorus and the pad magic setting on RC20. And that was recorded on a Dave Smith Prophet Rev 2. And then the last piece is this ARP 2600 Arturia plugin on the mellow horn setting, which is a setting I like a lot. I use on a lot of things. And it latches onto the melody at the end of the phrase on the piano.